This is a Topretty fill light. I received this to review from the Amazon Vine Voice review program for free. It would cost you $36 to buy your own. They have not paid me for this review, and so my opinions are my own. So in the box you have a synthetic carry bag, a manual, a clip for attaching it, for example, over the camera port of your cell phone, a USB-A to USB-C charging point, and the light itself. So this is a double-sided light. It has a cold shoe attachment point on the bottom, as well as a 1/4x20 tripod mount here. They have a sticker here that says, "Take it out carefully, magnet is fragile, avoid contact." So there is apparently a removable magnet here. And you can use this to magnetically attach it to something. So there are removable magnets on both sides, and they will attach to things, although in this case it wants to kind of slide a little bit on this slippery door. Alright, it sticks to this washing machine much better without any sliding around. And if you don't want to demagnetize your credit cards, you can slide those out and remove them and simply not use them. There's a USB-C charging port on one side, and at the top we have the control panel. So there's a power button here, and it starts off by default, it says 50%, and it is blue. And we have a plus button here, which will change the hue. And we have a minus button, which will allow you to move the hue in another direction. So right now there's an HSV here, and it goes 360 degrees. And there's a mode switch where you can adjust the brightness. So now I'm adjusting the brightness up to 100%. You can adjust HSV, sorry, the hue, and you can adjust that. And then here we have 99%. And I'm assuming that's saturation. So if you go to 0%, it will be basically white light. Whereas if you start moving up, it will start get closer to a 388 value or 308 value. And if you push the power button a second time, it goes to the all white side, which has the warm and white LEDs. And so you can adjust the color temperature here to go to a 9000K very cool, or a 2500K very warm. And the other option is to adjust the brightness here. So we can go to full brightness on that side. There's also a special effects where you can pick between different patterns of flashes, lamps, lighting, TV, police lights, fire, cold. So essentially they have various different patterns that you can pick through here. So personally, I think the white light mode will probably be used the most for shooting videos or doing videography or any type of video work. Now if you're trying to take photographs, you might instead be using the color mode, probably not the special effects mode, but be using the color mode if you want to have a particular accent light. So one of these modes is all, which basically turns on all of the lights. And for most of the modes, the third option here is the color speed. So this is red, green, blue flashing. If you go up to 8 times a second, it's really fast. And then you can start getting it slower and slower. And when you get down to about here, it gets where you can actually see the different colors. I learned one thing by reading the manual, and that is when you are in the pattern mode, there's 3 particular patterns. Light drawing mode, draw 1 is what it's called. So there is an X8, which is a fast flash, X4, which is slower, 2, 1. So this is kind of, how many times per second it flashes, and it goes down to 1/8. With the X8 mode, with this flash here, it's kind of a grid pattern, but if you hold the M and the minus key, you'll get into this mode where the buttons trigger it. And so when you push the button, it flashes. In this case, it's flashing kind of a smiley face pattern. So it only flashes when you hold those buttons down. And to get out of that, you push the power mode. So there's also drawing 2. And in drawing 2 mode, it's flashing a heart shape. I don't know if you'll be able to see that in the video camera, but it's a heart shape. And in drawing 3 mode, which is probably the most useful, when you press the M and the minus button together and hold them, you get a situation where when you push and hold, the light will cycle through colors. When you release, it stops. And the speed at which it cycles through the colors is based on that number you chose, so this X8. So if I were to go and change that to X1/4, now when I do M and minus and hold this down, it cycles through the colors very slowly. So you have a choice of pushing light out or not, and you have a choice of the speed at which it cycles through the colors, but you don't really have a choice of what color you're at. And so I think drawing mode 3 is the most useful, because basically you can hit the button and get a color, move it around, do a long exposure photography, and you have some choice at how long the color takes to change to a different color. So that's the only thing I learned by reading the manual. So the cold shoe attachment point works fine on cameras. The top unit here can rotate because you might have to switch from colors to white lights, or if you want to bounce it off to the side, you can do that as well. And the 1/4x20 mounting point makes it easy to put on any little tripod or light stand if you want to cast an accent light up close. So the camera on my phone is off to the side, so I don't really need this center hole to put a camera through the center hole. But you can, mount this to a phone, and it works pretty well. You can adjust that angle so it's lighting you up pretty well. It, obviously doubles the weight of your phone here. I wouldn't want to hold this in my hand for a super long video call, but if you're just doing a short video, it's certainly manageable to hold onto this guy and have it light up yourself while you're using your phone's camera. So I've plugged it into a USB-C power delivery charger, and it does not negotiate power delivery, so it will not charge on one of these power delivery chargers. So if you want to charge it, you must use an A to C cable, and it will charge at 5 volts. And it is drawing exactly 1 amp at 5 volts, so its charging rate is 5 watts. So while charging, it has a little lightning bolt with a battery animation filling up. Alright, this guy is fully charged. The battery icon is no longer flashing. Okay, we have a time-lapse camera watching the clock, illuminated by this guy. When the light goes out, we will notice. Let's see what the runtime is. Alright, this guy had a runtime of 2 hours and 26 minutes at full brightness, and to recharge it, it took 10 watt hours, so the capacity of the battery inside is just a little under 10 watt hours. So the LED fill light model D02, it says the battery is 2000 milliamp hours or 2 amp hours. So 2 amp hours times 3.7 is almost 8 watt hours. So it took 10 watt hours to charge it. It claims to have about an 7.8 watt hour battery. So I'm going to say this thing is meeting its specifications for the battery size. So if you're looking for a fill light, a small white light to put on top of a camera, or some accent light to do colors, this guy offers both features on the 2 different sides here, and it does what it's supposed to do. It works pretty well. I think that the extra little flashy modes are kind of gimmicky, but if you want to try light painting with it, there's a couple of modes that might be useful for that. But I think that the key wins here are the hue mode, where you can just dial in a color and have an accent light, or the white mode, where you can pick a color temperature and a brightness and just have white light.